of Hancock County. But we're watching this transition on down through northeastern or to the eastern portions of Adams County. Lorraine, heavy thunderstorm. I think the circulation is just to the other side of you guys at this time. Very, very strong wind gusts are possible just to the south of the Lorraine area at this time, running over to the Golden area. The track of this storm pulling to the south and to the southeast would track it just to the south of the Golden area between Golden and Camp Point as far as where the circulation is concerned.
And we do have a report now of a funnel northwest of Camp Point.
All right, so northwest of Camp Point, so they're likely looking up into this storm as it is approaching. So we have a report from the Camp Point area of a funnel cloud associated with this storm. So it's likely right in here in this little inflow notch, what we would call an inflow notch right here. So the southerly wind flow coming up into the storm, and this is where the storm is spinning itself. So the Lorraine area is possible. You guys are still seeing a potential for a tornado, but I think it looks like it's probably just to the east of you guys right now. This is not good news if you are in the Golden area and the Camp Point area. Track of that storm would be heading in that direction. So right now we were watching as this storm was initially moving at 35 miles per hour. It may have picked up a little bit of speed as it's started to kind of cycle through, and we saw it kind of jump just down to the south and to the southeast. So we've dragged this out to 35 miles. If we drag it all the way out to 35 miles, it's going to take it outside of the actual warned box, but it is going to give us the locations that are likely in the path of this storm if it continues on the southeasterly track. So the Coatesburg area at 10:24. Folks in the Coatesburg area, this storm will be approaching you in about the next 10 to 15 minutes, if not sooner than that. Camp Point at around 10:28 into the McKee Township area. Siloam Springs State Park. If you are out at the Siloam Springs State Park right now, you are going to want to seek shelter in one of their storm shelters. Then we see it running down toward Beverly, and then I think then just Bayless area, which would be just slightly outside of the warned area itself. So that is the tracking that we have on this storm at this time. We're going to take the tracking off the screen. We're going to put this radar back into motion here, and we may start to see this storm right here that's off to the west of us. This is good news for the Quincy area. This is a strong thunderstorm. Don't get me wrong. We're going to see some pretty decent wind gusts out of this. I think what was the strongest wind gust we reported with this warning right now? Warning goes till 10:45.
The highest wind gust with that one was 60 miles per hour. I will mention they did get a report of ping pong ball size hail in LaBelle, Missouri from the storm heading towards Quincy. It looks like it's come down a little bit, but still a severe storm warning for Quincy.
All right, so some ping pong ball size hail, as Logan said, in the LaBelle area associated with this same storm. It has lost a little bit of its intensity. It is approaching the Quincy area at this time. The tornado warning itself is over here in portions of Adams County. So those severe thunderstorm warnings that are going on in the Augusta area. Augusta, you do not have a tornado warning for you. They peeled off a little bit of the back edge. Again, if we could zoom in tight and kind of see, I think Lorraine, you're probably out of the woods as far as where they still got you under the warning at this time, but they peeled it off for the Mendon area. Mendon, severe thunderstorm warning, but no tornado warning. Lorraine, you're seeing a very, very strong thunderstorm at this time, but what you are not, I believe this storm is, tornadic portion of the storm is south of the Lorraine area at this time. It would have to be a huge on it. It doesn't look like that on radar. So Coatesburg, Camp Point, Golden, you guys are in the path of what is a potentially dangerous storm with potentially with tornadic activity. Again, funnel cloud was being reported out of this as folks were looking at this from the Camp Point area, looking to the north and to the northwest, looking up at this storm. So that's where we saw, again, the funnel cloud being reported. In addition to that, the tornado warning has been there for a storm that's moving to the south and southeast at around 35 miles per hour. We're going to zoom out real quick, and we're going to kind of take a further south look at this. So everybody that's here in the path of this, we want everybody to be aware where this storm is going. It is moving to the south and southeast. It still does have a little bit more of a southerly track to it. So Liberty, you guys are under a tornado warning at this time. Severe thunderstorm warning is for the Quincy area, but this storm, it was moving, it was starting to track like straight to the south and southeast. It does look like it's expanding a little bit in coverage. So it is on top of LaGrange at this time, and it will be approaching the Quincy area. We'll likely take a Quincy Tower Cam shot here in just a couple minutes, but the tornado warning itself has been peeled off for Hancock County. So even though it's showing up on the screen here, it is no longer valid there. Camp Point, you guys are under a tornado warning at this time. In addition to that, we continue to watch what is a very dangerous situation all night tonight. This is likely going to go on until maybe 4 o'clock in the morning or so, with severe thunderstorm warnings, one right after another, until we get into maybe about 4 a.m. or so. The question is just how strong these are going to be as the night wears on. Right now, we're seeing some really strong indications, again, that there's a tornado potential here with this. This is radar indicated, but also a funnel cloud was reported. Go ahead, Logan. What you got?
I was just going to say, we can take a shot at the downtown Quincy tower cam if you want. This is looking out towards the tornado warned thunderstorm. There is lots of lightning with this storm as well. This line of storms extending really from the LaBelle area through Mendon, Camp Point, and then extending into northern Hancock County as well. There is lots of lightning, very electric storms with these storms moving into this area. The latest update from the National Weather Service that shows that right now the storm is still rotating, right? The rotating storm, the severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, is located near the Camp Point community. There is that tower cam, our downtown Quincy tower cam, and you can see the lots of lightning there popping up. And again, this is looking towards the northwest, towards that tornado warned storm that is heading towards the Camp Point area as we speak. So again, the latest update there. This storm is capable of producing a tornado and quarter-size hail, and trained spotters have reported seeing a funnel cloud northwest of Camp Point. So, of course, this thunderstorm is rotating. It's a little messy with the abundant, lots of rainfall in the area, but still seeing some rotation and that possible tornado northwest of the Camp Point area, moving towards that area and eventually down towards Golden, Clayton, and Liberty as well. The one piece of good news that the Weather Service was just confirming what Brian was just talking about a little bit ago, the storm heading into the downtown Quincy area, which again is not under a tornado warning. Downtown Quincy, not under a tornado warning, but that storm heading into downtown Quincy is weakening a little bit. So they're just going with quarter-size hail for that warning. We did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning for Knox and Lewis as well, and that's for that trailing thunderstorm that's also going to be heading over the LaBelle area, which already saw some hail, of course. But the main focus right now is the potential for that tornado in the Camp Point area.
So tornado warning, we're wall-to-wall coverage here to cover this situation that is ongoing. You can see right now one of our indicators here showing up that there is some decent rotation showing up on the radar at this time. So that's that little indicator that's there. I had somebody call in and ask, what is that? That's just a radar tool to say, hey, watch out, there's rotation that's going on in this storm. While you're looking at a reflectivity model and taking a look at that, that is also in the background watching what is going on with the velocity scope itself and watching that spin in the wind. So it is difficult because we're in a little bit further away from the radar than we would ideally like to be. But that thunderstorm producing right now a tornado warning for the Camp Point area. Let's slide that over to the west just a little bit, Logan. Let's take a tight look. We're right where we are right now as far as the storm. So rotations up here north of the Lorain area, but I would be Coatesburg, Camp Point, Golden, Clayton, as it looks more like a broad rotation at this time instead of a nice focused rotation. So
I think if you can look at that heavy rainfall rate, I think there's a little bit of where we're getting some of that rotation. And not quite as distinct as what we saw earlier, but again, that's partially because we're so far from the radar and the very heavy rain coming down right now.
All right, so this is the area that we're focusing on, the Golden area, Camp Point, Clayton area, all under a tornado warning, as is the eastern edge of Adams County tonight that is under the gun at this time. While we have severe thunderstorm warnings that are ongoing, this storm will be approaching the area, is really starting to put down some pretty decent rainfall in the Camp Point area. It is just going to be reaching the Clayton area, and that tornado warned storm should slide right over the Golden area and then down through the Clayton area. So some pretty decent wind, but I haven't had power outage reports that I'm aware of. I don't know if you guys in the control room have been following that, but I haven't had any power outage reports just yet. So sometimes when these storms look very, very intense and you've got strong inflow into the storms, 60 miles 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts that are going into the storm. That can cause damage, trees down, power lines down. So we'll watch to see if we get any reports of those types of issues. Is there another warning that was issued just to the west of the area yet?
Oh, no, they just updated the original severe thunderstorm warning for Adams County.
Okay, and then for this tornado warning itself, is there an update on that from the National Weather Service? We're at 10:18 right now, so we're 20 minutes outside of when the actual warning was initially issued by the National Weather Service. Would be focusing on the Golden area, the Camp Point area, Clayton area, and if it continues to track to the south, it would be then on top of the Liberty area. But at this time, 10:18, 10:20 at night, difficult to see where any of these, difficult to see what is actually going on out there, especially with this heavy precipitation that is going on. For me, if you're in the Gilmer area, you are going to see a very, very strong thunderstorm. The tornado warning itself, I believe, would be just the tornado portion of this storm. Looks like it would be just to the east, but there's some pretty good inflow coming into this storm. So you can see another spin up is possible. If one of these were to weaken, we could see another one develop on the southern flank of this storm as it continues to progress to the south and southeast. So the storm itself moving to the south and southeast. If you are right up here next to this storm itself, you may be feeling a wind that is out of the south as this storm kind of sucks up a little bit of motion and pulls that down to the south and southeast. Heavy rainfall, hail, and again, damaging wind is definitely there, potentially in the Golden area at this time. Camp Point, you may be missing just some of the very heaviest of this rain, but I would imagine here in the next 5 minutes or so, you're going to feel some very, very heavy wind gusts, strong wind gusts as this pulls through southeastern portions of Adams County. So right now we are sitting at a 10:20. All right, we're sitting at 10:20, so we're about 20 minutes into this storm itself. And while they're difficult to see at night, Jesse Risley is out there on this storm, and Jesse has had a couple of reports.
Yeah.
Hey, Jesse. Yeah, are you saying you got a couple damage reports out there?
Yeah, so west to West Point, the County Road 400 between there and what it's called Kittle Cemetery, I've had some sporadic instances of tree damage in that corridor that was, probably caused either by rear flank downdraft winds or tornado. It's really kind of hard to tell at night here with it raining. But there are parts of that road that are partially blocked due to that. And we're talking, there's some pretty good-sized trees that are snapped there.
Okay. So what road are those across?
That would be Hancock County Road 400 that goes west out of West Point down towards Kittle Cemetery. It kind of winds around back towards Tioga.
Okay. All right. So you're seeing some actual ground truth or getting ground truth reports from Jesse Risley, who's been out tracking these storms tonight and been continuing to follow what is going on with these storms. The tornado watch for most of the tri-state area, tornado warning is in effect for what we are watching the south and eastern side, mainly the eastern edge of Adams County at this time. Storm pulling into the Quincy area still does have a warning associated with it, but the storm itself looks like it's weakening a little bit. Not to say it's still not packing some 35, 45, maybe even 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts, but it really is weakening as it is approaching the LaGrange area and likely will start to continue to weaken as it gets to the Quincy area.
We did just get an update on the tornado warning that the Weather Service is saying that the tornadic circulation is looking a little more broad with time and not quite as organized as it was potentially when the storm was up, doing some of the damage that Jesse was just talking about. The worst of the circulation is east of Columbus to around the Clayton area. That is where they're seeing the strongest circulation. And while it is not quite as organized as it was, there still is a lot of gusty wind showing up on the velocities in the radar. So even if there is not a confirmed tornado at this time, there could definitely be some strong to severe winds with the tornado warned storm there in parts of eastern Adams County, again towards the Camp Point and Clayton areas. Of course, some of the other hazards like we've been mentioning, we still do have some hail potential. There still is the potential for some golf ball size hail, especially right now in the Golden area. You guys could be seeing some of that hail falling. That hail core will also be heading towards the Camp Point and Clayton areas along with some of that rotation. Also very heavy rain potential that we're watching with these storms, those gusty winds as well. So we are continuing to watch this. Again, a little bit earlier, we did have a couple couple reports of some light tree damage and some funnel clouds that we're seeing around the Lorain area and then just to the northwest of Camp Point as well. And this tornado warning continues for about another 20 minutes or so. Is that tornado warning continuing until 10:45 for parts of eastern Adams County, including, again, the Golden, Camp Point, Gilmore Township areas. We did have, again, some of those reports of tree damage. I did see that they were sounding the sirens, and we did just get a report of the Weather Service is saying that there was an unconfirmed report of some trees down in the Lorain area with estimations of potentially 70+ mile per hour winds in that particular region. So again, you don't need a tornado, just a tornado, to have some wind damage. These storms also packing a punch in terms of that wind speed potential with some of that wind damage reported in the Lorain area. Now, the circulation was over the Lorain area. It's now heading between that Camp Point, Golden, and Clayton area. You can see that rotation monitor on the radar there where the radar's picking up on some of that rotation heading in eastern Adams County.
All right, so that is the storm that we're watching. If you're watching this and you're kind of watching where this rotation is jumping around, where it's in one place and then it's in another, we said it looks like a rather broad rotation. So what the radar then interprets is where is the strongest part of that rotation. So it is a rather broad rotation at this time. I would hazard a guess that they issued a severe thunderstorm warning here for parts of Adams County that were not under the warning earlier, I think. This warning is ongoing for the tornado. It is getting ready to roll up on the Camp Point area. If we don't get any reports out of the Camp Point area of some damage, I'll be surprised because there's some pretty strong wind gusts in here, even without the tornado. Now, we're not talking 90-mile-an-hour wind gusts that have came through and raked across the Quincy area in the past, but we are talking about wind gusts that are in excess of 50, 60 miles an hour associated with this storm. We possibly have a couple of weather stations that are available to look at that are out in eastern portions of Adams County through Wonder, but we'll kind of continue to monitor this as we go through about the next 10 minutes or so. They may cancel this warning altogether, but the broad rotation still does have us concerned that when that happens, you can still get a little bit of a focus on this. So Mendon area, you're out of the warning right now. If you are in the Camp Point area, still under a tornado warning at this time, and then this storm is tracking to the south and southeast. So at this time at Liberty, you are under the tornado warning, and we'll continue to watch. The storm may continue to track a little bit further to the south, straight to the south, but the Camp Point area is where our focus would be and our main concern would be at this time.
They just trimmed the tornado warning down, so it now is a little bit smaller, more focused in the Golden Camp Point areas. But the tornado warning does still continue, along with the chance of that quarter-size hail and otherwise gusty winds. And we did just get a report that some of Lorain is without power due to some of the damage from the storm that rolled through.
Okay, so gusty wind, damage to power poles, and then you, again, have power outage situations that are not pleasant to deal with and sometimes more of a nuisance than anything else. And the cleanup then is what they'll be talking about once we get to some daylight time. Some trees that are down, some power poles that are down, and possibly a combination of those two things. Coatesburg, while you are under a tornado warning at this time, it looks to me as if that threat is past the Coatesburg area right now. So you're still seeing a pretty decent thunderstorm. Lightning may be calming down just a little bit, but the Gilmer area, you're seeing a good thunderstorm also. But the focus would be right up here between Camp Point and Golden right now. That is the zone that we'll be watching as far as this thunderstorm continuing to track to the south and to the southeast. Mendon, you're out of it, and then again the Camp Point area and Golden, and right now it is 10:27. This warning itself goes until 10:45. They may extend it. It may issue on beyond this. I kind of have a feeling that they're not going to because it's such broad rotation, but they have had some damage reports in here. It's likely they will continue this out as a severe thunderstorm warning, and I would imagine if they're going to do that, they're going to have to issue it pretty quick because we would want to give you guys a little bit more warning than, hey, it's on top of you. Mount Sterling area, you're going to see a pretty decent thunderstorm approaching you at this time. Golden Camp Point is the area of concern right now. If you're between the Golden Camp Point area, let's zoom in there real quick, real tight here between Camp Point and Golden. I know there's not, we're kind of watching this as the storm approach. That's the that's where we're watching here. Camp Point, Highway 24, rolling from the west to the east toward the Clayton area. Clayton, you would be of concern for us as far as tornadic activity, definitely gusty winds and the potential for some damaging wind, possibly some power outages, trees down, flying debris is also possible. Golden, you're starting to see this start to wind down as far as it's just, don't tell me, I shouldn't, you're still seeing a really strong thunderstorm there in the Golden area, but right now the focus would be down here at Camp Point over to the Clayton area. This is a really strong wind up in here, and also the golf ball size hail or hail of large size is also possible, and some damaging wind. But as our next scan comes, this is going to be down a little further. Logan.
Yes, you mentioned the damaging wind threat. The storm is looking to become something a little bit more what we call outflow dominant. It's when the cooler air from the storm is rushing out, that it helps to eliminate the tornado threat a little bit. Still under that tornado warning, so you're still going to want to take shelter. But one thing that we are keeping an eye on now is the potential for some straight line winds coming from this storm as well, especially for those of you in still south of the storm, still yet to go through the storm. So if we zoom out a little bit, those areas south of Clayton and heading down towards the Liberty area, and you're still under the tornado warning, still take those tornado safety precautions, but you guys likely could be under the gun for some straight line wind potential as well as this storm continues to move farther to the south.
Time right now is 10:29, 10:30. I mean, that's normally the time we're about ready to wrap up our newscast that is here. We've been following this storm, and it is a dangerous situation. We don't want anybody to take this lightly, and we do break on, and we want to give everybody this for safety purposes. Coatesburg, Camp Point area, I think I said the Coatesburg area, I think you're out of the woods as far as tornadic activity is concerned. So the Coatesburg area, I think you guys can stand down as far as tornadic activity. However, there is still some indications that you could see some pretty strong wind gusts. And then we would be watching this leading edge of this storm that it's already rolled through the Camp Point area and will likely roll up into Liberty and the McKee area. And while there's a tornado warning there for the Liberty area, this is starting to be what is starting to bow out. We're starting to see this storm start to see a little bit of a bow shape to it here, and that is pushing a lot of wind outside of this. So when you're up next to this storm, as it gets a little closer, we're starting to see all of that wind blow through the storm. So the storm itself moving only at around 35 miles an hour. It looks to us as like it's going to pick up a little bit as far as the speed is concerned. So then this will start moving at about 45 miles an hour, and then we'll start to see it bow out a little further, and that means more or stronger wind gusts out ahead of the storm and right at the storm itself. Still seeing some indications of some rotation right near the Camp Point area, but it is a little bit on the broader side of things, and only just a little bit of a inflow notch is left into here. But up here in the rain and the heavy core of this, there could be still a little bit of rotation that is going on here. Now we're seeing a little bit more rotation that's just now popping up, although it's on a weakening storm, so I'm not going to be too concerned about this. It's probably more has to do with the storm itself falling apart than it is the rotation itself. So the radar picking up on a couple of things here, but I wouldn't be concerned about actual rotation in that storm at this time. It is over here focusing on the very eastern edge of Adams County. Camp Point, Liberty, you're going to see some very strong wind gusts here in about the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. Right now the time is 10:31. The warning itself goes until 10:45. They're going to hang with this warning with that rotation that is still showing up on the radar. And boy, you can really see how this storm is starting to push a little faster as it starts to pull through eastern Adams County. So it's hard for all of this stack of this storm to kind of hang together and continue to produce rotation and a tornado when it starts to pick up that speed. There's another severe thunderstorm warning. So we thought they would issue this warning and not be on the tornadic side of things, and they very well have. They have done that. They've issued another severe thunderstorm warning. This one does then encompass the rest of southeastern portions of Adams County and then over into parts of Brown County. It does include the Mount Sterling area and then down into Pike County. toward Pleasant Hill and also the Pittsfield area. So
Yeah, I can bring the latest update on the storm warning there, the severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Pike County in west central Illinois, southeastern Adams County, and Brown County. First of all, those of you in Liberty, they are sounding outdoor warning sirens there. Liberty, of course, still under that tornado warning, but now seeing the potential for some straight line winds as well. Now, severe thunderstorms located along a line extending from near Clayton to about 8 miles north of Beverly to near the Quincy Regional Airport. The storms are moving to the southeast at, they say, 35 miles per hour. I think they're probably picking up speed here a little bit as they're getting a little bit more breezy. These outflow winds are getting a little stronger, so the storms are going to be moving a little bit faster there as well. The severe thunderstorm warning continues until 11:30 p.m. 70 mile per hour wind gusts do have the potential with this storm extending into Pike, Adams, and all of Brown County as well. So this storm heading for the Mount Sterling area, Beverly, Barry, Griggsville, eventually towards Pittsfield, and Interstate 72 between exits 20 and 35. Brian?
yeah. Hey, Logan, what we want to do here real quick, because the tornado warning was canceled, I believe, for the southeastern edge of Adams County. Is that correct?
Yes,
so
the
they
tornado
canceled
warning
the
was
tornado
canceled.
warning itself. We're going to take a zoom out here and kind of give you a full picture of what's going on, and we'll continue to watch these storms throughout the night tonight. But we have a severe thunderstorm warning that is over here to the west of the Quincy area that is rolling down to a severe thunderstorm warning until 11 o'clock. That is over in Lewis County. So that storm in particular is starting to weaken just a little bit, and the warning, I think, has just been canceled by the National Weather Service. So let's focus down a little further southeastern Adams County, and then down into Pike County and Brown County. Most of Brown County is under a severe thunderstorm warning. So to break the timing down of these, the severe thunderstorm warning for Adams County is going to expire here. Here we're going to watch this is we're watching the whole leading edge of the storm. So this storm, instead of being kind of focused in kind of like a wedge shape, we pull it out. You're watching wind gusts from this storm that are going to impact Payson, Fall Creek, Versailles, Palmyra, Hannibal area. You can track the times here at 11:06, down into Bluffs at 11:14, 15, Pittsfield area 11:19, and then that is the storm itself. So there's no tornado warnings that are out. There is a tornado watch that is out for parts of the tri-state area and a severe thunderstorm watch that is out. At this time, we are going to conclude our wall-to-wall coverage of this on all Fox, CW, and NBC, but we will break back into coverage if another tornado warning is issued, and we will be in the Weather Center for the rest of the night.
From WGEM in high definition.
There won't be a
This is WGEM News at 10, the Tri-State's news leader.